Let's see, is this going to work this time? I just did it a minute ago and it went to private. And I don't think private is where we want to be. We want to be public so we can have the chat for the people. And it still says private. So I don't know. Let's see. This might not be working. I got a phone home. We're on now. Are we here? Are we alive? Are we there? Are we on the YouTube machine? I think that we are. Let me check. Now I gotta pull up the chat and let's see if we're ready to rock and roll. If we are ready to rock and roll, if you guys are out there, put in the chat and let's see who is here. We have somebody here, maybe nobody here. I'm not sure. We have one person here. Michelle is here. Okay, we made it. We have made it. We are up. We are in the building. We're ready to rock and roll. I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much. We made it. We made it. We made it. We have made it. So very good. The thing is like I start like 10 Zooms a day and I always make them private. And then when I start this Zoom, it still says private, but apparently it's public. So who even knows? All I know is we are here. We are ready to answer some questions. I know that last week was a new record in the live chat. Last week's live chat was 661 people. If we can ever one day get to 1,000 people, I got to do a 2-hour live Q&A. So right now I try to keep it as an hour, respect everybody's time. But if we get the chat popping and we ever get 1,000 people in here, I'll stay on for 2 hours and rock and roll. And because if we got 1,000 people, we got to make it worthwhile for everybody. So last week, the record of live viewers was 661. So that's our record to beat this week. So share the stream, tell your friends, tell your uncle, tell your cousin, tell somebody that we are live and it's time to make some money. So the title of this one is titled, You Will Go Out of Business If You Don't Do This. And what we have to do, and see, I'm not the type to make everyone wait all the way to the end. That's classic YouTube. I'm going to tell you straight up from the jump. You will go out of business if on March 13th, that's today, if on March 13th you do not start preparing for summer slowdown. You will go out of business if you do not start preparing today in March for summer slowdown. Now is the time to prepare for summer slowdown. It is not time to prepare for summer slowdown when summer slowdown hits. You don't have to wait for the whole 1 hour of Q&A. I'm going to tell you right here, right now. It's March. Your sales might be great because it's tax time. People have money. They're spending. They're buying your stuff. But today, March 13th, is the day that we need to start preparing for the summer slowdown. If we do not, we are going to be in big trouble. So I do have a podcast coming out on Friday, same channel. It will be out at 12 noon, and it gives a bunch of actionable tips on how to survive the summer slowdown. So definitely check out the podcast on Friday. It has tons of actionable tips on how to survive the summer slowdown. Another thing I want to talk about today, in addition to getting prepared for summer slowdown today, in March, getting prepared today, is when we are forecasting our business, we can never forecast our business based on our best month. So for me, historically, as a pre-owned clothing seller, my best months have always been November, December, January, February, March, April, and into May. May, it starts to slow down. June, July, August, September, October are my slowest months. And then I'm back in action November, December through April, May. So we cannot over leverage ourselves because right now may be our best months. The cash is flowing. We are selling items. We are doing good. We are making money. So maybe we say, okay, I want to go out and get a bigger space. Okay, I want to increase my listing goal. Okay, I want to maybe hire help, hire an employee. If we are basing our spending off of our best months or our best quarter, we are going to be in big trouble when it's no longer our best month and our best quarter. So we need to base our business, we need to base our spending, we need to base our forecasting on our worst month of the year. And if you don't know when your worst month of the year is because you don't have enough historical data or you're a new seller, that's okay. But we need to develop these charts. We need to develop these things that we can look at, these resources for our business where we can look back and we can say, you know what? Historically, my month of June is my worst month because I've written it down, and I can look back here on another calendar from another year and I can match it up calendar for calendar. You know, where has been my slowest months historically? And my slowest months historically, that's what I need to use as the game plan for going forward, for budgeting, for planning, for everything that's involved with my business. I cannot, if December is my best business, I cannot operate a 12-month budget or a 12-month projection based on my best month. I have to base my entire business on my worst month. And when we do this, when we base our entire business off of our worst month, what happens? That means every single month aside from our worst month, because our worst month, we're going to base our budget where we can still be profitable, reinvest in our business, pay all of our bills, have growth. But every single month outside of our 12th worth month of the year, 11th, 10th, 9th, 8th, all of those are going to be extremely profitable, because we are basing our projections, basing our business, basing our growth, basing our budget off of the worst case scenario. We can never live best case scenario and think that that's going to be our reality actually for year round. That is not how it works. So always make these resources, have these tools at your disposal for your personal business, so that way you can forecast, you can survive the slow months, because they're going to come. Christmas is coming, your birthday is coming, the Super Bowl, we know when that is. We know when the slow sales are coming. So the slow sales are coming up. We have to start budgeting, we have to start planning, we have to start buying, we have to start doing that now in March, not do that in June, July, August, September. If so, we will be up the creek, and there will be a lot of people who are listening to this chat. There will be a lot of people that are resellers who will no longer be doing this once the summer is in full effect and once the summer is over. So it is of the utmost importance that we know this is coming and we take care of what we need to take care of, and we do not go out of business during the summertime. So with that said, let's break into some Q&A, some questions. And in the chat, if you've been around for a little while, if you've gone through a summer, if you've been smacked in the face by the summer slowdown, please put your best tip in the chat of your best summer slowdown tip. If you've been around for 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, what is your best tip to get through the summer slowdown? Please put it in the chat. I would love to hear it. First question from Frito. I source in South Florida, mostly summer items. Did I sell swimsuits, men's or women's? I have sold a lot of men's swimsuits. The best ones that I find are Polo, Vineyard Vines, what's that brand? Villa Brequim. No one knows how to pronounce it, but it sells great. They have a lot of great swimsuit brands. The ones for men sell fine. Even for pre-owned, people still buy them. I have sold swimsuits and I have done just fine with them personally. Laura, huge congratulations for Laura. Give her props in the chat. Round of applause for Laura. Today she listed the last item from her death pile. What a humongous accomplishment. Congratulations, Laura. Now, never, ever, ever put yourself in that predicament ever again. Never. Shout out to Faith, first time on the Q&A. Happy to see you. Very good. Thank you for joining us. Shred says, do you think the eBay algorithm pays attention to pacing if listing? Would it be better to list 8 throughout the day or 8 all at once? That really doesn't matter. So just get them up on a daily basis if you want the best case scenario for your business. If you want, to do the absolute best for whatever reason, eBay does reward consistency. They do reward listing every single day. Doesn't matter if you spread them out over 8 hours, 1 per hour, or 8 all in 1 hour. It absolutely does not matter. Just get them up. KY says, can you explain USPS ground advantage? Sure. So about a year ago, maybe 6 months ago, USPS used to have first class mail. They have eliminated that service, and now they have Ground Advantage. Ground Advantage can go all the way up to 70 pounds, where first class used to go up to 1 pound. And if it was over 1 pound, you would have to do priority. So now USPS Ground Advantage, you can go up to 70 pounds. It's slower than priority on paper, but a lot of people say that it's the same speed. So technically, it's a slower service than priority. It can go up to 70 pounds. You do get up to $100 of insurance for free if you print your label on eBay and Pirate Ship. But it's a good service. And now that eBay has switched over to Cubic, a lot of people are saying that they're getting humongous savings by just shipping Ground Advantage, Cubic shipping. So it seems like it is a very beneficial thing for us as sellers on eBay. Is it better to list the same item twice or just once with quantity 2? So it is against the rules to list the same item more than once, and eBay will prevent you from doing this, especially if you have the same title word for word. They will not allow you to create a duplicate listing. So it is best to have the same item quantity 2. So if you have an item brand new with tags, if it's this shirt brand new with tags, and you have 2 of them, you make 1 listing quantity 2. Now, if one of them has a flaw, one of them is in perfect condition, then you would make 2 listings. One would be brand new with tags, one could be new with flaws, or one could be listed as pre-owned. But it is against eBay policy, technically speaking, to list the same item multiple times. And about 10 or 12 years ago, they really had a problem with this in search, where the sellers who were selling the widgets or had huge quantities of these items, they would list the same item 10,000 times, like an iPhone cable. They would list 10,000 iPhone cables and they would take up the entire search. So then eBay made it a policy where it was against the rules to do a duplicate listing. So you have to list it as a quantity if it is an exact duplicate. If a package arrives to buyer city's post office, then stops tracking for 2 weeks, and am I responsible for filing a claim for insurance, or is the buyer? So if the item never gets delivered and you are eligible for insurance, that would be your responsibility to file the insurance claim. You would be obligated to issue the buyer a full refund. If the buyer does not receive the item, you have not fulfilled your obligation. So you need to refund the buyer, and then you would have to file an insurance claim to get your money back. All right. Shout out to Sarah. Should you source with the intention to bulk up your store during the slowdown? I don't know if that necessarily needs to be the intention, but we should be cognizant of that. If there is a good jacket for a good price, I'm not opposed to picking it up. I'll pick it up because jackets sell all year. And Sarah, if you watch the morning call today, we showed that someone sold a Tipsy Elf sweater yesterday for $25. And someone commented right underneath that post that she sold $400 worth of Christmas items in her store on March 9th. So like the stuff sells year round. People buy jackets in June, people buy swim trunks on Christmas. I've done it before. Now, would I pay up for an item in May? Let's say it's a North Face jacket. Would I pay up in May? That's a different story. I may be willing to pay a different price in November, December for certain items than I would be in June or July. But I'm cognizant, but I do not turn down good items for a good price. Sharvin says they just joined the group today. Thanks for everything. Absolutely. Thank you for joining. We appreciate you. If you haven't already, please make an introduction post in the group and I'll respond, give you some helpful links, give you the call list, all the replays, all that good jazz. Thank you very much. And they said they just joined the group in Q1, already up 15%. That's how it's done. Thank you very much. KT says, thank goodness yard sales and flea markets are going to be back open in the summertime. Yeah, that's right. So like for me, living in South Florida, like flea markets are year round, but like for you guys, flea markets and garage sales are about to open up. So for those folks who do live up north, what month do flea markets start to open up? Because I know Sheila, she lives in the Northeast and she went to a flea market today. So if you are somewhere where flea markets are seasonal, I'm curious when those open up and when those close down. Very good. Okay, so Diane says Villa Breakwim is French for crankshaft. Okay, now we know. Very good. Faith says, call me a scaredy cat, but I'm so anxious to get on the eBay train, but at the same time, I'm terrified because doing eBay makes it real, real, real. Get on the train, list an item, sell an item, make some money, and then report back next week on how much fun you have and how much money you made. There's nothing to be scared of. Do the right stuff. And if you are brand new, I said do the right stuff, but you're gonna mess up 100 times, and that's okay. You're gonna mess up 100 times. eBay offers us a wide range of opportunity to mess up. They don't require us to be perfect because even to be a top-rated seller, like you can mess up 3 or 5% of the time on certain metrics and you're still classified as the best of the best. So don't worry about it. List an item, do the best you can. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram or post a comment below, and I'll be happy to help absolute best that I can. But list the items. Let's go. Get it done. How many days straight did you list 125 per day? So I listed 120 per day, like for probably the better part of 10 years. So like how many days straight? Like thousands of days straight, I listed 120 items a day. Good tips in the chat for summer slowdown. Very good. Very good. There's a lot of good tips in the chat. Nice ones. When calculating sell-through rate, is it worth searching worldwide or eliminating the location search to Australia only? Because that's where I am selling from. If you sell worldwide, I'm not opposed to looking at the sell-through and the comps for worldwide. If you only sell to Australia, then I would exclude worldwide because that doesn't apply to you. If a buyer sends a return, but the package gets held up at the post office and not moving, what to do if the buyer escalates with eBay? So if this does happen, call eBay, let them know the situation, have them look at the tracking number. They can put the case on hold for 10 days. But once the case goes on hold, this is the tricky part. It is your responsibility to call eBay again before the 10 days have elapsed. Otherwise, that case is automatically going to close by the eBay robot. So if the case is on hold because you've asked for it, call them up. When you receive the package, say, hey, I received the package, it's all good. And then eBay will close the case for you rather than eBay closing the case without seller resolution because it timed out. So just call eBay, ask them to extend the case for 10 days, and they'll happily do so. Now, they will only extend the case if the item has had a scan within the last 2 weeks. If the item has not had a scan recently, they will not extend the case. But since you are the one waiting for the package, most likely they will close the case, they will give a refund to the buyer, and they will also give a refund to you. So it's the same thing. When we send an item to the buyer and it doesn't show up, we are responsible to refund the buyer. When we send an item to the buyer and it does show up, even though the buyer says it doesn't, we still keep the money because we have fulfilled our obligation. When a buyer sends an item to us, once it gets to us, we have to refund them. If a buyer sends us the item and it doesn't come, then if you call eBay, you talk to them and it truly is lost, 9 times out of 10, they'll issue you a refund. They'll issue the buyer a refund, no fault to you, and everyone's made whole and eBay eats it. So Faith, back again. Should I just do it and forget about it, or can you tell me if I'm ready for eBay? You are ready for eBay. If you are listening to this Q&A, if you have watched some of my videos, you are ready to rock and roll. And like I said, if you have any questions, post them below or write to me on Instagram and I'll do my best to help you out. And that's for everybody. If anyone has any questions, post them below in the comments. I answer every single comment, or send a picture or send something to my Instagram and I'll try to help you the best that I can. How does someone new to this start out finding good items at the thrift store? Do you have a list of top brands? So we do, inside of the group, we do have a list of hundreds and hundreds of brands in the deep dive document. And we also have a Wednesday call. Wednesday in the morning of the morning call, we do a show and tell. And that is like the best BOLO list because it's on video. People are talking. We're putting keywords. You know, I asked the chat to put titles. I asked the chat to put sell-through, to put prices. It's like an interactive BOLO list every single Wednesday. And every Wednesday, I learn a brand. And I know so many brands. And every single Wednesday, I learn something new. So we do have that call every single Wednesday. And we also have the deep dive document that has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of brands. and it shows the nuances, the tags, the sell through, what to pick up, what to leave, what kind of stuff is priced for what. And in addition to that, you can go to eBay, you can look at active comps, you can look at sold comps, you can study the market. If you sell clothing, you could put men's shirts and you can sort high to low, you can sort $30 and under, and you can see at what price point certain items sell for. And those are the items that should be readily available for you. So if you're looking at $1,000 shirts, maybe that's not going to be readily available for you. But if you put $50 and under, yeah, absolutely. You can find $50 shirts. You can find $50 sweaters and jackets. Absolutely. So eBay is the number one best resource when it does come to looking for brands and all of that stuff. But go out to the thrift. If you find something that piques your interest as a beginner, pull out your phone, check the actives, check the solds, check your price and say, okay, they want $5. This is selling for $50. That fits the profit that I wish to get. So therefore, I'll pick up this item and I'll give it a go. And it's kind of a learning process in the beginning, and that's fine. It's okay. But if you do want a shortcut, we do have the Wednesday morning show and tell call, which is my favorite call of the week. We have the deep dive document, and we have hundreds of posts every single day about brands, nuance, everything about eBay. But you could just do it on ebay.com. You can learn, you can study, you can put in the time. That's how I learned. And you can learn brands, learn prices, learn sell through. Everything is on ebay.com. How long do you leave items on eBay before ending in relisting? Is it frowned upon to have items older than 1 year? So for me, I personally do not end and relist. What I do is I go in and revise the keywords. What I do is go in and revise the title. I will entice the buyer by doing an aged inventory markdown strategy where those items will now fall into my markdown promotions. And then maybe they'll be 20% off, 30% off, whatever I got to do to make them move. I also institute, buyer groups. I do newsletters to move items. I do offers to watchers, and offers to watchers is based on the time that the item has been on eBay. So if it's been on longer, I'll send out a more aggressive offer. But if you're just going to end and put it back on, take it off the shelf and put it back on with no improvements, in my opinion, it's better to make an improvement, change a keyword, maybe change your photos, reevaluate the price. Maybe it's priced too high. And if you want to end it and relist, no problem. But it is best to make an improvement. It is best to change the photos if they're no good. It is best maybe to add something to the description, a detail, look at the price, reevaluate the price. Because if you have something for 1 year, odds are you are a better reseller, a better eBayer today than you were 1 year ago. So there is something somewhere in that listing from 1 year ago that you know better today and you can make an improvement. And that's what we need to do to the listing. What time would you recommend niching down as a small seller? There is no requirement to niche down. You can sell anything and everything. It's totally up to you. You can run your business however you want. However, there are limitations to selling everything. If you do want to scale and grow, it is much easier to scale and grow if all of your operations are built around one type of item. So if you want to sell disc media, you can build all of your processes around that. A dedicated photo station, a dedicated storage solution for media. You'll have disc cleaning machines. Everything will be catered to disc media rather than disc media, sombrero, toaster, microwave, DVD combo. That's much more difficult to scale when everything is different, because that's going to require a different photo setup, because for larger items, you can't photograph. If you are only disc media, your photo station is probably going to be very small. If you want to do DVD combos, it's got to be a larger photo station. If your disc media is in a file system because everything sits vertically, doing a DVD combo is going to be a different storage solution. So everything is different about everything. That's why, everything sellers exist, and it's fine. It's great. No problem. But if you really want to scale and streamline, it's much easier to scale around things that you can streamline and build dedicated processes around. So there is no best time, good time, anytime. It's totally up to you, whatever you want to do. But for me personally, I like to identify what is plentiful in my area and then build a business around that, rather than, because for me, I would love to sell, fine art, but like the last time I checked, like my flea market and thrift stores, like the fine art isn't plentiful enough for me to make a full-time living or for me to make the money that I want to make. So I do know going to the flea market, there's tons and tons and tons of clothes laying on the ground. I learned clothing, I learned the nuances in clothing, and I was able to build a business around that. But does anyone have to niche down? Absolutely not. So long as you're running a business that you're happy with, it pays all of your bills, and you're excited to do it every single day, what more can you ask for? Oh, Candace in the chat, thank you for helping me on the busted Tom Petty shirt yesterday. She's still crying. But seriously, so kind of you. No, no problem at all. So, unfortunately, Candace, she wrote me yesterday on Instagram. This was the preface. I found this shirt. I'm so excited. It's the best find I've ever had. I was jumping up and down in the thrift. She sent me pictures, and unfortunately, I had to give her the good news that it was a reprint and it wasn't an original. So it looked like a vintage Tom Petty shirt. It was a raglan style, but unfortunately, it was a reprint. But Candace took the news like a champ. And you know what? That happens to everybody. That happens to all of us. There's times even today that I go to the thrift and I see a graphic and I get excited for a half second and then I go, oh, this is a reprint. It's just the way it goes. But Candace took it like a champ. She'll find a good one. And when you do find a good one, Candace, please send it to me on Instagram so we could celebrate together. Is Terapeak calculating sell-through rate differently than sold and active? They are. So the active screen on eBay and the sold screen on eBay is what it is. 100 active, 100 sold. Terapeak is 100 active, and they count the actives and the solds on the sold one. So you have to do on the sold, you have to divide it by 50. It's a more complicated calculation, but the sold you have to divide by 50 to get into the ballpark range. So on Terapeak, it is a different calculation. Absolutely, it is. And Brett talked about that on the men's clothing call 2 or 3 weeks ago. So it is a different calculation on Terapeak when you're looking at sell through versus the conventional active versus solds on ebay.com. Thrifty Mommy says she sold a Christmas sweater today. Let's go. Amanda from the 499 call. She got 50 items drafted this past weekend and put 7 live. Very good. And she got 4 sales from that. Absolutely. Very good. Very good. A lot of great summer slowdown tips in the chat. Thank you very much for those. Funky Flips had been taking the advice in the videos, had his first 200 plus day, 300 plus day, and absolutely very good. Mission accomplished. Mission accomplished. Very good. All right. Where are we at? The chat jumped on me, so I gotta find where we are. I'm all kinds of messed up now. Dang, you guys put a lot of stuff in here. Okay. I'm all right. I'm back. We're back. I don't like when the chat jumps because it messes me up. All right. If you put your store on vacation mode, can you and should you still schedule listings to go up? You can. Just be careful that those listings that are going up still have that extended handling time in it. So I would start with 1, and then if it goes up, fine, go for it. But be sure to check that the handling time is updated properly in accordance to what your handling time currently is. Very good. A lot of questions, a lot of tips. Very good. Bala says they would like to hire help in the future, but I'm afraid that someone will just learn everything from me and leave to do the same thing. Did that ever happen to you? So it has not. So this is your choice. If you want to hire someone, you can teach them everything and maybe they stay forever, or you can teach them nothing and maybe they stay forever. So I would rather hire somebody and teach them everything. And if they leave, they leave. eBay is a lot of work. Once they get inside of your machine and they see how much work it is, I've never had anybody leave. So do you want to hire somebody and teach them nothing and have them stay forever? Or would you want to hire someone and teach them everything and perhaps they can also stay forever? I don't want to hire someone and teach them nothing and then they stay forever. No, thank you on that. Very good. Is there a video showing how to set up shipping policies for buyers in eBay? There might be one somewhere online. However, I'm not aware of one. Michelle in the chat, Reseller Project, the one with the wrench. She has the best business policy anywhere on the internet inside of the group. Business policies are difficult. They're hard to understand. If you make one mistake, you screw them all up. If you try to do it from scratch, you're going to have 500 business policies. It's a total mess, but Michelle has a great business policy video inside of the group. It's one of the best videos that we have. I know it's not good to decline offers, but when someone lowballs 3 counters, is it okay to decline? I just keep countering. No big deal. No big deal. Just keep countering. Faith says, can you name your eBay store, or does eBay do it for you? So if you do not do it, eBay will give you some kind of generic store name, but you absolutely can pick it. When and if you did work 9-to-5 job before going full-time or reselling, how was your sourcing process? Yeah, so for a long time, I was growing other businesses, like a landscape business. I would work all day. So during lunchtime, I would hit a thrift, or after work, I would hit thrifts. My listing goal wasn't huge back then. It was, 20 a day or 30 a day at the time. So I wasn't sourcing every single day, but I was sourcing multiple times per week. But I would do it around the schedule. I would do it during lunch or after work. And I know Sarah's in the chat. Sarah is a lunchtime warrior, and sometimes she pulls 30, 40 pieces during lunchtime. So if you are a lunchtime warrior, put it in the chat. What are your best tips as a 9-to-5er? Or if you are catching the replay, what are your best tips for the lunchtime hustle or the after work hustle, 9-to-5 workers? We do have 2 or 3 calls in the morning call section that I host, all about tips for 9-to-5 workers, how to snipe stuff online, how to find deals online, things like that. So it is tough, it is hard, but if you want to do it, then you will find a way to do it, unfortunately. So how many people are in the chat? We got to beat the record. 661 was the record last week. We got to beat the record. I don't like not beating records. So mine has seemed to froze, so I don't know how many people are here, but we got to beat 661. We cannot fall short of the record. How do you choose which flea markets to visit? I go on Google, I look at the area I'm going to, and then I go to Google Images and look at images of the flea market. And if you've noticed, I source 5 hours away, 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours away from my house. I have never gone to a flea market or a thrift store that was a dud. I do my homework before I get there. I go to the right flea markets. I'm fully prepared. I'm ready to rock and roll. Inside of the group, I do have 2 or 3 videos about how to find the best flea markets, but essentially you go to Google Maps, and then you go to Google Images, and then you see, is this flea market going to have the stuff that I'm looking for? Does it have a bunch of brand new stuff from Alibaba? If so, that's a pass. Is it a farmer's market? Are they selling only vegetables? If so, that's a pass. Or are there people parking their car and throwing stuff on the ground? If so, that's where I want to be. Any tips on listing blazers? Got some nice vintage and double RL blazers I've been waiting to list because I'm just a little intimidated by it. So let's just establish double RL blazers. Is it a Ralph Lauren blazer? Or is it a double RL blazer, which is named after Ralph Lauren's ranch? Double RL is some of the highest Ralph Lauren on the spectrum of Ralph Lauren. Usually blazers are going to be Ralph Lauren, and that's on the very lowest end of the spectrum for Ralph Lauren. And Ralph Lauren was sold at Dillard's and Kohl's and the likes. So odds are, if you have a blazer, it's going to be Ralph Lauren. It is not going to be double RL. But the thing for blazers is that you have to include a lot of measurements. Sleeve measurement is important. The width, the length. Usually you have to dig in the pockets to find a size tag. 44R, 44, 46, all of that good stuff. They are a little bit more complicated, and they do require some more measurements. But just as a tip, Ralph Lauren is not double RL. Totally different price points. When in your eBay career did you have the feeling that you could do this business and make as much money as you have made? Um, I know 1 year early on, my taxable income after all deductions, like over 10 years ago, was $207,000. At that point, I said, all right, there's something to this. So um, I think when my taxable income after all expenses was $207,000, way, way back, I said, you know what? It's time to rock and roll. This is something that has huge potential, and I need to take advantage of this. That's my honest answer because I remember looking at it and I remember that exact moment. Um, How do you clean the hats you pick up? I watched a few on delicate, air dried, and the bills were trash. Yeah, you got to be careful. So, my wife is in the chat. She can give you some washing and drying tips if she wishes. She is posting underneath my name, Tech and Sports. But we throw them in the washer, we throw them in the dryer. You have to make sure that you're reshaping them and they're not sitting in the washer or sitting in the dryer. You have to reshape them. You have to be careful about washing wool hats, those will shrink. And you have to be careful about washing red hats with white on them. The red will bleed into the white. Um, What happens if eBay gives a refund voluntarily and the customer leaves a negative feedback a week later? Call eBay, see if they can help you out. So first and foremost, you want to contact the customer, see if they're willing to revise it now that it's been worked out. If they are not, call eBay, ask them what they could do to help you. It's helpful if you do have some sort of policy violation. If they can't help you, contact eBay for Business on Facebook. Again, it's helpful if you have some sort of policy violation. If they are unwilling to help you, go to Seller Hub, top right-hand corner. They have seller help, seller tools, and you can ask for feedback removal through there. Can you ask for eBay to extend a case when it is still in transit to the buyer but taking a long time? I already filed an inquiry with USPS, but they take 7 days, usually respond, and eBay is 3 days. You can, if it does have a scan within the last 2 weeks, you can call eBay. You can say, hey, this item is still in transit. It had a scan 4 days ago. eBay will put a hold on the case for 10 days, and you have to keep continuously checking on it. Definitely open up that missing package case. And if the item does not arrive, make sure that you do issue a refund before the case does close on day number 10. Otherwise, the case will automatically close and you will have to give a refund and you will be assessed a case closed without seller resolution. Lord said, do I do any retail arbitrage? I do not personally. Does putting a store on vacation mode affect the algorithm? It does because your handling time is different. It's extended. And we all know eBay wants fast shipping. They want same day, 1 day shipping. So if you have 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, of course, your item's going to fall in the search. Stuart says, at what point can you start negotiating fees with eBay? Is this a myth or do you have to wait for eBay to contact you? I mean, you could try to call them up. I mean, I know some huge, huge, huge sellers and like eBay hasn't budged for them. So call them up, open up the dialogue, see if they're willing to help. I don't know. Are you sending out offers even when an item has been up for a couple of days, or should you wait a while? Also, what percent to give for early offers? So for me personally, I only send offers to watchers when I want to sell items. So if you don't want to sell items, do not send offers to watchers. For me, I want to sell items often, so I send offers to watchers often. I don't care if the item was listed this morning. If it is eligible for an offer to watcher at 5 o'clock in the evening, I'm sending offers to watchers. I want to sell items. Do you buy graphic shirts if there's no history behind sales? No. I only go with the shirt, with the absolute sure thing. Philip LeBron, my man. Philip LeBron is moving to Florida. What are the peak months for flea markets and yard sales in Florida? Um, So in Florida, the snowbirds come down after Thanksgiving and they go back home after spring break. So Thanksgiving through March is kind of the best times. And after March, it starts getting hot. There still are vendors year round, but there's less vendors. There's less weekend warriors. The professionals, they still go year round. but there is less weekend warriors in the summertime. But also there's less competition in the summertime because the weak resellers stay home. So if Philip, if you are a strong reseller, and I know you are, go out there in the summertime and run circles around the flea market, and the weak resellers who stay home in the summer, you're going to come up and you're going to get all the good stuff, and they're going to be at home sitting down. So um, the season for flea markets here is after Thanksgiving through spring break. Can you please explain waking up your store each morning? Absolutely. So I check my email and I respond to any questions that came in overnight. After that, I go to the seller hub and I respond to any offers. I see what needs to be shipped. I respond to any cancellations. I respond to any return requests. I check out the resolution center, and the resolution center is going to have any sort of credit card chargebacks or item not receives. And then I send out invoices. And then after that, I print my items. And then after that, I do my coupon if I want to do one. I do buyer groups, I do newsletters, I do offers to watchers, and then I get to listing. Oh, the chat jumped again. I was close. I was close to beating the chats. Now I'm way behind. Oh boy. Oh boy, this is not good. I was so close to beating the chat. Now I'm halfway up. But don't worry, I'll beat the chat. We have beaten the chat 8 or 9 weeks in a row. This will not be a week where we lose to the chat. When you price an item on eBay, can you price higher to give room for offers like on Poshmark? You can price an item for whatever you want, but if you price it so high that no one is even willing to give you an offer, then you're doing yourself a disservice. How do you account cost of goods when buying lots? Example, all of my inventory comes from buying tool lots for 20, 30 items that usually range for value to 5 to 150. So if you buy 20 items for $20, every single item costs you $1. If you buy 20 items and only 10 are worth listing, the other 10 are garbage, then the 10 that are worth listing have to be assessed $2 because you paid $20 for the lot. So whatever you pay for the lot, you figure out how many are worth listing and you divide that number by how much you paid with the lot. The ones that go in the trash are assessed no value. Terapeak is getting renamed Product Research. And is it only truly sold items, not bids and offers never paid? That's what they say they're going to do. So they say they're going to remove all of that stuff. That's in the last update that they received. So they did say that they are going to remove that stuff. How many items until we can start using the same cost of goods for every item instead of doing line by line sheet? So I think that we should do a line by line accounting sheet until we have an absolute understanding of how the numbers work. If you do not understand how the numbers work, then you should continue to do the line by line. We should know the fees. We should know the promoted listings impact. We should know, insertion fees. We should know the cost of goods for our item. We should know how much profit we're making per item. We should know if we're losing money on shipping. We should know our fees that are associated with shipping. We should know our average sales tax. We should know everything for the numbers. And once you know that, then you can go into averages and more of an automated system. But until that, everything has to be manual. And inside of the beginner section, all of those numbers that I've just rattled off are on eBay, but they're tough to find. And in the beginner section, Robert has done a fantastic job. Isaiah has also jumped in and done a couple fantastic beginner call for numbers. And shout out to my man Isaiah. Follow him on YouTube, Isaiah_TMN. He just dropped a video today. He loves the numbers. Him and Robert do a great job on the morning call. But Robert has a bunch of great tutorials, a bunch of great resources on how to learn your numbers, how to fill out the sheets, how to find your averages. All of that is of the utmost importance. So how long do you have to do it? You have to do it until you absolutely understand it. If you join the Patreon group, do you have to join the Facebook? You do not. There are a good amount of people that do not join the Facebook, which is fine. They join the live calls or they listen to the replays, and there's still an immense amount of value with doing that. So, if anyone's thinking about it, if you join today, you get access to every single live call we've done in the history of the group. There's thousands of hours of live calls for you to catch up on. There's 3 years of my live calls to catch up on. So like there's thousands and thousands and thousands of hours to catch up on in the group. Everything is broken down by niche. Do you have to watch everything? Absolutely not. If you're a shoe seller, maybe you only watch the shoe call. If you're a shoe seller, maybe you only listen to the morning call that I do and the shoe call. Maybe you only listen to the morning call, my Tech Tuesday call. Maybe you listen to Michelle's call because she goes over a lot of item specifics. And then you listen to the shoe call and that's it. Because right now we have the media call going. Before that, we had car part sellers. Before that, we had jewelry sellers. And then we had the shoe call. We had card sellers today. So you don't have to listen to every single one. I like to listen to all of them because I can still grab a tip or some sort of good best practice from all the calls, but you don't have to listen to them all. Just listen to the ones that you want to that pertain to your niche. Again, the beginner section is a humongous resource. But no, you do not have to join the Facebook group. You can join the live Zooms or you can watch all the calls on replay. Up to you. You could watch them 100 times. You can go at your own pace. You could go slow. Totally up to you. How do you work out your total cost of unsold inventory at the end of the year to give to the accountant? So that's good. If you have an average cost of goods and you've been rolling it, and every single time you purchase items, you roll that into your average cost of goods, it's very easy. If you have 1,000 items and your average cost of goods is $5, then you have unsold inventory of $5,000. If you do not know your numbers, then it's very difficult, but you do have to know it. Do you think custom-made small pony quilted polo shirt made from a bunch of polo shirts would get a Vero from eBay? I would be extremely careful with that, especially like Disney stuff. They don't like or appreciate that stuff. New Gaming Chair says, do you make your own merch? So I got some of these shirts here. If you guys have been, around for a while, you know that my wife's sister, she worked for the eBay business for probably 5 years. She ended up making a bunch of money, moving away, buying a nice house, taking it a little more easy now. And she actually makes these shirts. So I was thinking about having her make some shirts, put them on the site, sell them for a good price, sell them for cheap, just to keep the money going and make sure we're supporting good people and help good people that have started a business. So if that's something you guys would be interested in, I can make up a few shirts. I can design a few things. I can make a nice shirt that says some of the money all the time is better than all the money some of the time. But it all depends. But if I could throw my wife's sister a bone, support her new business, absolutely, I'm open to doing that. As you guys know, I like to keep the money moving, keep the money flowing. I like to make sure everybody makes money and we can all go to the top together. So my wife's sister did make this nice shirt, nice quality. I like them. Manu in the chat, the French guy, good to see you. Manu is our French guy in the group. He always welcomes everyone from France. If you had a book that you cannot find comps on in eBay, as well as Google, Abe Books, how would you work out a price to sell or put it to auction? Putting it to auction is not a bad idea. Maybe start it at a price you would be happy with if it received one bid. If it didn't receive a bid, maybe consider doing it one more time. And if it goes unbidded twice, we can have a little bit more confidence that perhaps it's not worth that much money. But sometimes, you have to find as similar as possible. Is there a similar item in the genre? Is there a similar item by the author? When you can't find something, you just have to do the best you can with the information that you do have. But an auction and letting the market decide is not a horrible way to do it. Lyndon said they're going to Orlando in a few weeks. Do you have any thrifts, flea markets you could recommend or a certain video of yours? You don't always say the names. Yeah, I don't always say the names. I don't want to blow up people's spots because people will watch the video, they'll start going out there, and then I'm the bad guy. So I never want to do that. So I just say where I am in the general vicinity, and it's up to you guys to figure it out after that. And you can figure it out. If there is a will, there is a way. I used to figure out every single thrift store people were at because I memorized what the ground looked like. I memorized what the paint looked like. I memorized what the hangers looked like. So when I saw someone bragging about a great find at the thrift, I knew that that ground had those cracks or that certain spackle between the tile, and I knew where they were. So if you watch the video and you see where it is and you want to do the legwork and you want to figure it out, then by all means do so. But I'm not gonna put neon lights and going, I'm at this spot because like that's not right. People go there, make money. If you want to figure it out, you can absolutely figure it out. But I do have a good portion of my videos are in and around the Orlando area. Check them out, figure it out. Is there a minimum amount of items listed per day to satisfy the algorithm? I mean, I guess technically speaking, it's one if you want to focus on the minimum, yeah. Raleigh Restorations, any insight on upcoming trends? How do you get a tip on what the new vintage kids are doing wearing? You follow them on Instagram and see what they're posting, see what they're talking about, see what they're showing on their stories. That's the best way. Follow them on Instagram, see what they post. Shout out to the Lunchtime Warriors. That's right. Would you say a big obstacle of selling everything or at least a lot of different items is the time it would take to list a bunch of random items one is not familiar with? That is absolutely an obstacle. Absolutely. Um, very good. A lot of good tips. A lot of great questions today, too. What do you do with a brand new dress? Return small, strong smell of perfume. I let it air out, give the buyer a refund, and move on. How many hours a day did it take to list so many items? So when I was doing 120, it took about 2 or 3 hours to take the photos, 2 or 3 hours to do the listing. So roughly 4 to 6 hours per day. Faith says, is there a schedule in the Facebook group? Absolutely, there is. Here is the schedule. I'll put it in the chat for everybody. This is the schedule. Action packed. That is the schedule right there. All right. So my wife says, clean the hats on the quickest wash cycle. Spin cycle is the lowest setting to keep from messing up the structure of the hat and immediately goes into the dryer. Thank you very much. Oh, now the chat jumped. Now I'm in trouble. Unbelievable. Oh, unbelievable. I was getting to the bottom again. What? All right, found my way. Don't worry. I will beat the chat. I'm a quarter of the way up. I will beat the chat. When writing titles, is maximizing the 80 character or relevant keywords ideal? If so, does the order of the keywords at the end of the title matter as much? Everything does matter. So keywords that are farther towards the back are going to have less impact. They're going to be weighted less than keywords that are more towards the front. They absolutely do matter. All of them do matter. Would you recommend hiring someone to do your shipping while away for several weeks instead of using vacation mode? I don't want to use my great traction in the summer. I'm okay with it so long as they don't screw it up. I would rather close for the summer than have someone come in here and screw up my eBay store. So you have to be 100% concrete that they're going to do a fabulous job. Otherwise, for me personally, it's not worth the risk. Isaiah's in the chat. Isaiah TMN. I already told people check out your channel. You're doing a fantastic job. He said he opened up the eBay app and his pending offers to watchers was 148. Normally it's between 12 and 21. Did yours have any weird spikes today too? Isaiah, sometimes the eBay gods smile down on us and we just have to just don't ask questions. Just send the offers to the 148 and be happy and live your life happily ever after. We can't question the eBay gods. We can't question the thrift gods. We just have to roll with it sometimes, my man. Just roll with it. Send out the offers, sell a lot of items, ship a lot of items tomorrow. Do you go ahead with sales to forwarders? Somebody bought an item a bit ago. I have no international sales listed. Their account showed USA, but it's a forwarder. Absolutely, I do. So if you know the seller protections, and I did a seller protection call in the group in the morning call section on December 12th, titled Seller Protections. If we know our seller protections, we know that buyers lose buyer protection if they use a freight forwarder. So if you ship it to the freight forwarder, once it gets to the freight forwarder and then it is reshipped, repackaged, sent somewhere else, the buyer loses buyer protections. So ideally, it's the same thing as doing a domestic sale. We're shipping it out to the customer. The customer is the freight forwarder. Once they repackage it and ship it out, the buyer loses all buyer protection. So there's absolutely nothing to worry about. I have no problem shipping to freight forwarders. Most freight forwarders are going to be in Doral, Florida, Sarasota, Florida. There's a couple in Jacksonville, Florida. There's some in Dover, Delaware. There's some in Springfield Gardens, New York. And there's some of them in Oregon too. So I have no problem with it. I send it every now and then. You'll get some shenanigans with them and they'll say, hey, this item was damaged, but it could have been damaged after it reached the freight forwarder and repackaged, and that is not our responsibility. They have lost buyer protections once it went to the freight forwarder and has then moved on. Very good. If I refund a customer a small refund before shipping, how long does it take eBay to adjust the transaction? It should be pretty instantaneously. So Justin said they've been listing every day since they watched the last video last week about consistency. On the fourth day, early morning, I started getting orders and sold 6 items. Absolutely. Very good. Very good. Rachel's in the chat. She hosts our Poshmark call. She does a great job. She finds great items every single week. I like the Poshmark call. Even though I don't sell women's items, I watch the Poshmark call. It is very entertaining. And I don't even know if it's Poshmark or Poshmark. I've never been on the website, but I enjoy that call. TJ Hip says 3 years of calls. That sounds overwhelming. My friend TJ, if you do not know, everything about me is overwhelming. Ask my wife. There is nothing about me that is just regular. It's all or nothing, TJ. It's all or nothing. There is nobody that can join the group and say there is not enough information. I would rather you join the group and the worst complaint you have is there's too much information. That is mission accomplished. That is job well done. So if you are new, if you do not know, I am everything all the time, 100% rock and roll. And that's the best way to be, I think. Michael says, after listening to the last video, they started doing aged inventory markdown process. It's been 2 weeks. They've done an extra $680 in sales. Look at that. A couple tips. We got a guy selling 6 items. We got Michael selling $680. One tip, one tip, one tip. That's all it takes. One tip, one nugget can totally revolutionize your business. What are the pros and cons of eBay international shipping? I guess the one con is that it is expensive for the customer, but if the customer wants it bad enough, they'll pay. The pros are you are not exposed to all the risk of international shipping. You get it to the eBay shipping center. After that, it's out of your hands. If it breaks, if it takes a long time in customs, if the buyer wants to return it, all of that is covered by eBay. So the cons for us as sellers, not many. The cons for buyers, it is a little bit more expensive, but eBay handles and eBay covers everything so long as we get it to the shipping center. So I am all for eBay international shipping personally. All right, very good. A lot of people want shirts and hats and hoodies. Okay, so I'll get with my wife's sister and we'll get that together. So let's pencil in May 1st on the launch. May 1st, launch for the stuff. And if you want it, have it. If not, don't worry about it. I'm just trying to throw her a bone on her new business, and try to take care of good people. That's all I try to do, is try to take care of good people. All right. So I've reached the bottom of the chat. Inglewood said, "Is your group only for full-time sellers?" Absolutely. Sarah's in here now, and she has a full-time job. She probably puts in full-time hours, but she has a full-time job. There's a lot of people that do it part-time. There's a lot of people that do supplemental income. We had a lady last night, Kathy. She does eBay to pay for her RV, and her husband are going to go on a 10-week trip. There's all kinds of people in the group. There's beginners. There's people that do a couple $1,000s a month. There's a people that do thousands of dollars every single day. The entire spectrum is there. No drama. Everyone is respectful. The people on the top help the people on the bottom, and we got to get everybody to the top. That's the plan. Do we do store reviews in the group? Absolutely, we do. All right. Let me jump over to the community section and let me handle these comments, because there were a lot of comments in the community section. A lot. All right, community section comments from Adam. This one reads like a 5th grade math problem. I have a vintage Nike zip-up windbreaker, and it has Nike 72 embroidered on the sleeve near the cuff. Gray tags sewn on both ends. Small, darker gray swoosh. Darker gray tag hanging from first line with the lighter gray M's. Repeated 3 times. Made in Thailand. Mesh liner. Also a tag sewn in on the side that says Nike 72 with a yellow swoosh. Any details you can give me would be greatly appreciated. So Adam, I appreciate the question. It reads like a 5th grade math problem. Like, one train leaves the service station going 90 miles an hour, another train leaves that going at 60. What time will they meet in the middle? Adam, please do me a favor. Send me a picture to Instagram. I need to look at it. I don't know what you're talking about here. What I do know, what it sounds like, Nike 72. So Nike was started in 1972. So they do use 72 or 1972 a lot on their clothing. So it's not going to be from 1972. It's just an homage to 1972 when they began. So Adam, please send me a picture to Instagram. Happy to help you. Probably been asked a lot. Thermal printer or label recommendation. So me personally, I do not make any recommendations on products that I use, like a printer or a camera. I don't do that, because even though it works every single day for me, it'll work for 99 people. They'll love it. One person it will not work for, and then I look like a fool. So I use a Brother printer. I use half sheet labels. That's what I do. You can use any kind that you want. How do I describe the feel and types of fabric? Is there a chart somewhere? There are charts. You do have to be careful with the feels, because that gets a little bit iffy. If you say this item is super soft and a buyer gets it and they're like, it's not super soft, it's kind of soft, that puts you in a bad spot. So you can go over to the Google machine, and they do have these resources that people have made that tells you all the different types of fabric, what they look like. They have tons and tons and tons of these. All you have to do is search different fabric types, and it will bring up those things, and it will really, really help out your business. It'll help out item specifics. It will help out your keywords. In addition to that, in the file section, we have files for miles, tons of patterns, tons of item specifics, tons of fabric types, tons of nuance. We have a 72-page guide all about item specifics. And in addition to that, Michelle does a great call about item specifics reseller projects. She's in the chat. Make sure to follow her. She did a bunch of topics in the last 3 weeks. She's gone over lag and look, grunge look, all kinds of stuff. So definitely check out those if you want to learn keywords, and then go to the Google machine, and it has all the fabric types right in there. John says, in your first YouTube video, you use a Brother printer. Regarding the sheets you print on, are they one label per page? If not, do you turn the sheet around and reload to print labels, or do you just bin them? Of course, we absolutely turn them around. So I brought props. Here is the sheet. These are called half sheet labels. Half sheet labels. You print it through one time. It comes out the printer. Your label's on this side. We take the label, put it on the item. Then we put all the labels in a pile facing the same way. And once our labels are run out, we put this in the printer the right way, and then it's going to print out again a second time with the label on this side. And then we rip the label off, 2 sheets, 1 paper. And then from here, we throw this in the garbage. So we use 1 sheet, we spin it around, we use the other sheet. Absolutely, that's what we do. Do you ever source online? What does that look like for part-time sellers? How can I find more quality items that meet the metric? I personally do not. I like to look around for fun, and I find items that are worthy of sniping all the time. Last Thursday, we did a call all about insights. Last Monday, I gave all of my sniping secrets away in the group on a sniping call. There's tons and tons of resources that you can go out and you can find items that are priced under market. A lot of people in the group are finding items for $1, $2, $3, good quality items that they can then make a profit on. So we do have those resources. There are tons of resources out there. But if you truly want to be a successful sniper, you have to have a good understanding of the product so you can see something and identify something that is under market. If you do not know what you're looking at, you are never, ever going to be good at sniping. You have to see something and go, oh, this person messed up, and now I need to come in here and I need to make the money. How to price items competitively on eBay. You got to look at the market. You got to look at the actives. You have to look at the solds, and you have to assess where you want to be in the mix of all of that. Jesse said, my top 20 search slot impressions are at 18.8. Rest of search is 55%. Are those good numbers? How to improve those? Are those good? It's hard to say without knowing what you sell. Basically, that is your baseline. That is where you are at today. Use all the tips that we talk about in this chat, on these calls, on my videos to improve your listing. Keywords are important. Title structure is immensely important. Item specifics are important. Number of photos are important. Your return policy is important. All of that stuff in the listing is important, and it will help you get to the top of the search. So whatever you are at now, use it as a baseline. Use all the tips that we talk about to help you get higher. So real quick, where are we at in the chat? How many people? Are we going to fall short of 661 this week? Are people staying home and not watching? Are we not going to beat the record? Are we going to come in second place? That's what I want to know. Can you tell me the make, model of the type of fabric used in the angled standing photography displays? So that type of display, the standing flat lay, is something that we worked on in the group, and now like a lot of people have it. A lot of people get the fabric from Joann's Fabric. That's where a lot of people get it from, Joann's Fabric. Are you going to visit more resellers to help improve their processes like you did on Reseller Rescue with Terry? Absolutely, I am. I'm going to go all across the country. Give me about another year or two. I got to get some ducks in a row at home. My warehouse lease for eBay is up in August, so I got to get those ducks in a row. I got to get a couple other ducks in a row so I can hit the road for a long extended period of time. And then I hope to meet up with everybody. So one of these days, I will do a reseller rescue in your neighborhood, and we will make it happen. So now let me go over here to the Instagram questions. So on my Instagram, I have this thing right at the top, tech tips for resellers, right here at the top where my finger is pointing. And I post tips in there. And today I asked for questions, so I will answer the questions. Some of them are the same. Did you ever source online? I did not. Do you have any spreadsheets or softwares that you use to track? I just use a regular spreadsheet. I don't have any like fancy apps. However, there are a lot of apps out there, but I just use a regular spreadsheet. Do you write down everything you buy each day for inventory? So I look at my receipt, or when I go to the flea market, I count up how much stuff. I know what I started with money in my pocket. I minus out what I spent. I divide that by the number of items that I have. I do an average cost of goods, and then I divide that into my rolling average cost of goods. How do you take process on stock? Something I'm struggling with. If you're using a chronological system, you check all your oldest items to make sure that they're still on eBay. If you do a SKU system, then you would have to go bin by bin and check it out. A lot of how do you keep track of your average cost of goods? It's interesting. Are free returns worth it? Does it increase the number of returns? So I've had free returns for well over 10 years before eBay ever kind of enticed those or told us that they want us to do them. So free returns with 1 day handling time will make you eligible for Top Rated Plus. Top Rated Plus will make you eligible for a 10% final value fee discount. They do let you withhold up to 50% if somebody does misuse returns. They do give you better feedback protection. They do give you better placement in search. My return rate, even with free returns, is 1.4% across every single return reason. With Arc'teryx in the title, should I leave out the apostrophe? I personally leave out the apostrophe. All right, so those are the questions there. A lot of them were repeats, so I think a lot of people joined the chat from there. So if you want to, right there, tech tips for resellers. I post some tips in there, some actionable stuff, some helpful stuff, anything I could do to help. That's what I'm trying to do. All right. Now we have got the community section. We have got the tech tips on Instagram. Now catch up with the chat. And once I beat you, we're out of here. All right, I'm almost there. Biscuit said they won a chargeback from an international buyer that used a freight forwarder. PayPal sided with them. Absolutely. Absolutely. We have, as long as we know the rules to the game, we have nothing to worry about. Nothing at all to worry about. Kim says, when will we get a Miss Tech and Sports call? A one-time Q&A? She's got her own fan club within the group. She does, but I've casually mentioned it a couple of times, and she told me to just go to work. So she told me to go to work, so I got to do what I'm told. Is it worth it to source an item 2 hours away to make $500 profit? It's an electronic. I mean, that's up to you. Only you can answer that. And what you have to weigh is you have to weigh the opportunity cost. Can you make more money with least resistance? And tomorrow, this is a secret. This is a secret, but I'm going to tell you right now. Tomorrow, I am going to do the podcast with Phoenix Resale. He reached out to me yesterday and we talked a little bit. And tomorrow we are scheduled to do the podcast. Phoenix Resale on YouTube. Phoenix Resale has been in the group for a long time. He's under the radar. He said he listens to the calls. He loves the calls. He's been in the group for a while. So he wants to do the podcast. We're going to do the podcast tomorrow. And one of the things that he wants to talk about is opportunity cost. So that podcast is going to be released on Friday for the group and in about 3 weeks from now on YouTube. But we're going to have Phoenix Resales on the podcast tomorrow. And one of the subjects that we're going to talk about is opportunity cost. So can you make more than $500 with less? That is the best bet that you have today. Then hit the road and go get it. Have I ever done freight shipping? Yeah, we do freight shipping every single day now when we send out the pallets. We go to UShip and we use usually Southeastern. So yeah, we do freight shipping every single day now when we send out the pallets. What are some tips that you have to run an eBay business from a dorm? You either want to sell small items or you want to sell faster selling items. I read that punctuation was bad in titles. Yeah, eBay doesn't want punctuation. If you can eliminate it, it would be the best practice. No problem, D. Happy to do it. Derby says, have you ever found any money or anything odd in pants or shorts? A couple of times, but I've seen people, the guy Kyle in the group, he found a couple $100 today. Good for him. All right. I think we won. All right, we won, I think. Chat just jumped, but I think we're just in here talking at this point. I don't see any more questions. Oh, Arena says Norway probably has way better chocolate. I was absolutely shocked and surprised how much you guys like the flea market food review. So I think I'm gonna have to work into the flea market videos, flea market food reviews from here on out because you guys have absolutely loved the flea market food reviews. Absolutely loved the flea market food reviews. All right. We have beaten the chat. The chat has been beaten. The community section has been beaten. The Instagram section has been beaten. We have beaten the chat. We have beaten everyone. I win again, 9-0, 9 weeks in a row, repeat champion. However, I don't think we beat the world record because the highest I saw was 582. So we did not beat 661. Maybe next time. All right. Thank you, everybody, for checking in. I appreciate you. We beat the chat. Lots of great questions this week. I appreciate all you guys. If you missed it, please post your question below. I will answer your question below in the comments. Shoot me a message on Instagram. Happy to help. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it.